Hey guys, how you doing? Theron Shan here. Welcome to another Star Citizen theory crafting video. So today we are back in Hellion. Um, Hellion is a game that's on early access in Steam. Unfortunately, the devs just recently uh, put a notice out on Steam that they are no longer going to be providing updates to Hellion. They were unfortunately unable to continue to get enough funding to keep the game going, which is really a shame. The game, although it has a lot of rough spots, looked like it had a lot of promise. However, with that being said, I want to make a video today, and this is going to be a series of videos using Hellion as a model for the series that I'm doing right now, and we're going to be talking about the coordinate system in Star Citizen. So one of the big things that we've been talking about in Star Citizen is, just how explorers are going to be able to get around the verse, how people are going to be able to choose their own manual quantum travel points and things of that sort. One of the big pushbacks that a lot of people were saying in game, and I think even the devs had made mention of it, and you'll have to forgive me, I can't remember the devs that may have brought this up in conversation, was how do you allow for the implementation of a coordinate system without giving the ability for players to transmit that data outside of the game client, right? It does no good for me to, okay, let's just say right here on my screen is a ruined fabricator and this airlock. Let's say if I'm out doing some discovery and I find this and I give my coordinates to, I know what my coordinates are in space. And then I go and I put this on Discord. And then someone goes and puts it on Reddit. And then another person goes and puts it on some other social media site. That basically kind of cheapens the whole portion of gameplay, and it defeats the very purpose of what the developers were trying to do by making an exploration mechanic in the first place. So I think Hellion can provide a model for how to make this process work. And the answer is orbital mechanics. So Hellion, in the game, they have a full true orbital mechanic system in game. So every object is in orbit around a main orbital body. The moons are in orbit around the planet. The planet is in turn in orbit around the primary. So what that means is, I'm going to show you right now. So here's some data right now. This is where my ship is. My ship, I named it the Defiant. And there's some coordinate data right now. I'm going to set a basic a location for my ship to travel to, as if I were to find something out in space. And I know CIG has talked about implementing orbital mechanics in the past. It seems to be a little bit fuzzy if they're going to still do it. I hope they do. And here's the reason why, and why I think Hellion's orbital mechanic model fixes everything. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a custom orbit. In Hellion, the process by which you do that is by selecting a main orbital body, clicking add custom orbit, and then you can make an orbit. In Star Citizen, it doesn't necessarily need to follow this method, but maybe they figure it's just easier. Okay, so you'll see right now, when I click custom orbit, I can grab these two tabs. One is my periapsis and the other one is my apopsis, and I can pull these out and change. Let's do this. I'm going to make a large orbit, right? So this is what we're going to do. And you can see, if you look on the screen here, you're going to notice that these figures are going to change in correspondence to the fact that as I'm moving the tab, you'll see the apopsis is moving, periapsis is mostly staying the same. Now you can see periapsis is moving, apopsis is staying the same. And Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing it. So all the astronomers out there and cosmologists out there, I know you guys may be cringing if I'm mispronouncing the word. Please forgive me. So what's great about this is I can set basically any orbit I want around an orbital body. And by doing so, there we go. I can set my inclination and things of that sort. And then what you'll see is, but this is the point at where my ship would end up on this large circular orbit. Well, the question people may say is, okay, so Theron, what does that do? How does that solve anything, right? So I'm going to pull this out a little bit more, right? Let's say that I went out, just for the sake of argument, I discovered, I went out and I discovered an object right here out around the orbit of Bethier, okay? So this object is way out here in the orbit of Bethier. This is where the beauty of the mechanic comes in. Oh, in addition to doing it this manual way, the automatic way, this here, by manipulating it here, I could also just go in and actually manually type in this data here, right? And looking at that, obviously it's going to raise some warning bells to people. They're going to say, well, that doesn't make any sense. I can transmit all of this data to anybody that I want outside of the game client. It puts us right back to our main problem. This is why it doesn't. Because everything is on an orbit and everything has an orbital period, that is that's the X factor. Just because I give you all of this data from inclination, argument of periapsis, longitude of ascending node, periapsis, apopsis, and the position of orbit, you have no idea at what point in the orbital period the object is if it's transmitted outside of the game client. However, if it's transmitted inside the game client, what the game would do is the game would basically, it's not really fudging, but the game would basically say, oh, well, your ship's navigation computer computated the orbital period, and if you're going to transmit that to a friend, they'll have the data when they look it up on their computer, or when they look it up on their navigation screen and they want to get there. Because the navigation computer understands what the orbital period is, it can just automatically say, oh, we know exactly where that object is in space if you were to travel there right now. So if I'm right here at, you can see position of orbit is right here, 263.94 degrees. If I'm here right now and I transmit it to one of my friends in-game, when they go into their navigation computer, the navigation computer is going to say, oh, when you get to this object, that's where it's going to be, at 138.67 degrees. Well, that makes it so you can find the object. Without it, if I were to just transmit that data to a friend of mine outside of the game client and say, oh, hey, just go here, type in, all this data, and the position of the orbit is 254.10. That's terrific. They're going to go to the exact same coordinates and the position in orbit of 254.10, but that's not where that object is. That object is at 48.58 degrees. That's you're never going to find that object. It's absolutely, at that point, it's impossible to find. And the reason why I say that is and I have this off a little bit because it's not perfectly circular. We're going to get it so they're equal, right? This is a perfect circle around Bethier. So we are talking a sphere that has a radius of 1.75 million kilometers. Right? That's 3.5 million kilometers across. So that's a huge orbital area for you to just be searching for an object because you don't know what the position in orbit is. So just by adding this little bit of data, I think it fundamentally changes the exploration game, and it changes the manual quantum travel game. It makes it so that we can have coordinate systems in the game, and we could still transmit this data to players in-game, and it provides a built-in process by which to prevent outside of the game cheating. So I think this is a really cool process. I hope CIG is able to do this. I know it's something they've talked about. One very cool actual aspect of this is, let's see if I can make it do it. If by chance I were to set this as the orbit, let's try to truncate this down. I don't know if it'll say anything about it, but if you were to pick a quantum travel orbit around a major body that has this type of, you're going to end up crashing. If your ship, when it comes out of quantum travel, is going to be in motion throughout the system, that is one of the issues I think may be a problem. How fast will our ships orbit major celestial bodies, and should objects, if they have a bad orbit, crash into a celestial body? So we're going to remove this orbit, and we could do the same thing and add this custom orbit around, we could put it around the main star, right? And you could see I could do this anywhere. I can set this orbit anywhere in the solar system. So now I'm out exploring the outer reaches of the Helion system. I now find this object. The object is slightly inclined in its orbit. Maybe there's a jump point up here, right? Actually, let's just do that, right? So there's a jump point up here. Obviously, it's a little bit different because, to my knowledge, jump points do not orbit the system. They have a fixed location in space. So it doesn't matter. Let's just say it's a derelict space station. Again, if you thought the problem was big before, when I was just in orbit around Bethier, now imagine being in orbit around Helion, and I give you all the data, but now you are talking, another right here, 347 million kilometers in diameter, right? 700 million kilometers in radius, with an orbital period of 520 days. It doesn't matter how many friends you have in the game. It doesn't matter how big your army of friends is. At least I'm thinking it's functionally impossible to find that object. So, guys, leave me a comment in the comment section of YouTube where I'm going to post this, and I'm also going to drop this in Spectrum. And I look forward to some further conversations on this. Be on the lookout for some more Star Citizen theory crafting videos in the future, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the verse. Take care.